Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about impairment of goodwill. So first of all, we need to understand that goodwill is recognized only in business combination. What is business combination? Business combination is a transaction or other event in which an acquirer obtains control of one or more business. So we have here word controls, like when one business will acquire the control of other business. What is the meaning of control? Actually, control, it is the direct or indirect ability to determine the direction of the management and the policies of the investee. So I use two words here. So like here, control means to say you have here ability as an investor to determine forward the direction of the management, and you have a ability to determine the policies of investing. Okay, so this is what it means, you have a control. And usually how companies obtain the control? So this usually means, I mean say, control means one entity's direct or indirect ownership of more than 50% of voting or outstanding voting interest of another entity. Like when one company will acquire more than 50% of outstanding voting stock, it means you have a control and you have a ability to determine the direction and policies of the investee. And now we need to understand what is the goodwill. Actually, goodwill, when the acquirer looking to acquire another company and acquirer is willing to pay a price premium over the fair market value of the company's net asset. Like for example, maybe if you are going to pay $100,000 to acquire a business, and the net fair value of the net assets of the quarry, maybe it is, for example, $90,000. So maybe you are going to pay here 10,000 excess. So this 10,000 is called your goodwill. Why company is paying excess amount? Maybe the company is paying the excess amount due to the company's good reputation, maybe due to loyal customers, or due to strong client base, or maybe due to brand identity and recognition, or maybe due to talented workforce, or maybe due to technology. Okay, so company pays extra money to acquire the investee, and that extra money, as we discussed, it is our goodwill. And goodwill is our intangible assets, which is going to provide us future economic benefit. And these future economic benefits are arising from those assets acquired in the combination that are not individually identified and separately recognized. Actually, the goodwill is it is not separately identifiable assets, because you cannot separate from the company. Okay, and please remember here, because first I will explain the basic calculation of goodwill also, which might help you to solve the question, and then we will talk about the impairment. So goodwill always has an indefinite useful life. So that is why if it is having indefinite useful life, you don't need to amortize the goodwill. Yes, but we need to test it for impairment. Okay, like there could be an impairment, which is our main topic today. Okay, so here you should also remember the second note. The parent means to the company who has acquired the investee more than 50% of outstanding stock. Parent presents any goodwill recognized in its consolidated balance sheet. Like the parent will reflect this goodwill in its consolidated balance sheet as one amount under non-current assets. Okay, and please note also, internally generated goodwill must not be recognized in the financial statement. So that is why goodwill is recognized only in case of business combination. Why we cannot record internally generated goodwill? Because cost is not reliably measured. Okay, this is the reason. So we cannot record internally generated goodwill. Now here we are going to talk about how to calculate the goodwill. First, I want to give you basic idea for the calculation, and then we will see the impairment. So if in exam they are asking you to calculate the goodwill, so here I'm talking about the basic idea. Okay, the full-fledged calculation, I mean to say at advanced level calculation, I will cover once I will start video series for accounting for consolidation. Okay, but here it's almost 90% question you can solve by having this idea also. And guys, please remember, when you will calculate this goodwill, of course, you will calculate this goodwill at the date of acquisition, like the date when you will achieve the control, the date when you will get more than 50% of the voting rights of the investee. And we always follow, most of the time we follow what acquisition method, because what is acquisition method? Acquisition method mean to say, under the acquisition method, you have to identify the acquirer, who is the acquirer, and what is the acquisition date, like when you achieve the control. Okay, and under the acquisition method, so how we will calculate the goodwill? So actually you need these two things, A and B. What is A? So first of all, you have to take, this is what the calculation of goodwill I'm going to explain now. Okay, so at the acquisition date, what you have to do, you have to take the summation of acquisition date fair values of the consideration transferred. In short, you simply need fair values of these three things. Okay. Number one is what? It is a consideration transfer. Like at the date of acquisition. Okay. You need a fair value of these three things. Number one, two, and three. So what is number one? Number one is consideration transfer. Like maybe, for example, you are going to acquire now 60% of the voting rights. So how much money you have transferred to acquire this 60%? So that is called your consideration transfer. Okay, so here in the exam we will tell you the amount. Maybe the amount is, for example, 10,000. Okay, it could be any amount, because in the exam we will tell you. Sometimes guys, you can see here it is a note here. Sometimes what happens, the acquirer who want to acquire the acquiree, okay, who is going to acquire the acquiree, what we do, the acquirer will transfer its own common stock to acquire all or the majority of the common stock of the acquiree. Like we, for example, if company A want to acquire company B, what A will do, A will transfer its own shares to acquire the stock of the B. In that scenario, how you will calculate the consideration transfer? So simply you need fair value of stock transferred at the date of acquisition. And how you will get that fair value? I'm explaining this consideration transfer with the help of small example. So here we go with the help of example. For example, guys, we have here P Corporation issues 10,000 shares of its common stock to acquire all mean to say 100% we are going to acquire of the outstanding common stock of S Corporation. And how much stocks you have issued? 10,000. And how many shares you are going to acquire? 25,000. All 25,000 stocks. Okay. P stock is currently trading at $12 per share. Like at the date of acquisition, that trading, I mean, say the market value, the fair value of the acquirer stock is $12, and S stock is trading at 3.8 per share. Now I want to calculate the consideration transferred or consideration given. So what I will do, simply I will take the shares transferred, which is 10,000, because parent is giving 10,000 stocks, time acquisition date market value, which is $12. This is how you will get 120,000, which is the fair value of consideration transferred. Okay. So in my example, please focus with me what I was saying. So you have to take consideration transferred first. Let's assume I bought 60% and I paid, for example, one amount for that. I will take that one. Then you have to add here plus any previously held equity interest in acquiring. Guys, maybe for example, previously I owned 20%. Now I purchased additional 60%. Okay. So I need to take the number of stock for that 20%. Maybe number of stock was, for example, 2000 for the 20%. I'm talking about for the 20%. Okay. For the previously held interest. So number of stocks were 2000 times I need to take the fair value today. The fair value at the date of acquisition, maybe for example, it is, let's assume 3.8. Okay. So this is the previously held stocks, and this is the fair value at the date of acquisition. And this is how you will get this value. Okay. Then guys, of course, you have now you have acquired 60% plus previously you have acquired 20%. So it means total overall your percentage is 80%. Okay. It's 80%. Now 80, it means 20% is not controlled by you. So this 20% is called now non-controlling interest, and this 80% is called controlling interest. Now guys, here what you need to do, you also need to take NCI recognized. NCI recognized means that you need a fair value of this 20% also. Okay, this 20, like you have to take the number of stocks of 20% times fair value at the date of acquisition. So this is how you will get the third value. So I hope guys it is clear. The first portion, like first you need what, you need a sum of acquisition date, fair value of consideration transferred, NCA recognized, and any previously held equity interest in equity. Just you will make the summation of these three values. So this will give you acquisition date fair value. Okay. Now here guys, simply from here, what you will do, you will subtract. What you will subtract again at the date of acquisition date. Again, you have to take the fair value of what? Of net asset acquired. You know, net asset means say assets minus liabilities of the investee. So you have to take here all identifiable assets at fair value minus liabilities assumed at fair value. If you will take assets minus liability, this will give you fair value of net assets acquired. Okay, so that value you will take it to the final value, and now from A you will subtract this value of the B if your answer is positive. I mean to say if this value, I mean to say this value is greater than this value, fair value of net asset acquired. So in that scenario, it's called your goodwill. If the sum of this value is less than fair value of net asset acquired, is called your gain from bargain purchase. Okay. Now, guys, you should remember this one. Gain from bargain purchase, we take it to the income statement, and goodwill you should record in the consolidated balance sheet under the non-current asset. So this is how goodwill is calculated. Let's do a couple of 2, 3 questions. Okay, for goodwill calculation, then we will cover the impairment. Don't you worry. Okay. So here we have now example for the goodwill calculation. For example, here we have entity C acquired 80%. This is your controlling interest of outstanding common stock of entity D for 192,000. Guys, it means this is your purchase consideration which you have paid to acquire the 80%. Entity D acquisition date fair value of identifiable assets and liabilities were 350,000 and 140,000 respectively. It means we have fair value of assets of 350 and liabilities of 140,000. The acquisition date fair value of NCA was 48,000. This is the NCA because if you acquired 80%, of course, the remaining 20% is your NCA, and for the NCA fair value is 48,000. So how you will calculate the goodwill? It's very simple. So what you will do, guys, is simply first of all you have to take consideration transfer because you acquired 80%. For that 80% you have 192,000 you have transferred. It's given here, and then you will add here non-controlling interest fair value, which is for 20%, and its value is 48,000. So this will give you value of 100% company. Okay, you will add these two values. From this value, you have to subtract simply acquisition date fair value of identifiable net asset, which is equal to asset minus liabilities of investee. Okay, of acquiring. So asset value of the acquiry was how much? 350,000. It's given here, and liabilities fair value is 140,000. It's given here. So your net asset is how much? 210,000. So now what you will do, if you will take this minus net assets acquired, so you will get goodwill because its answer is 30,000. So it is your goodwill. Now guys, let me just tell you here little bit with the small adjustment, because sometime in exam he will tell you carrying value of net asset acquired is not equal to the fair value. So of course you need to do adjustment here. So guys, please remember, with the help of example, I will explain. We have another company, P issued stock, like we issued stock now with a fair value of $120,000 to acquire all the outstanding stock of S corporation. Okay, you purchased 100% here. It means there is no NCI. Okay, the carrying amount of S, it's a carrying amount of subsidiaries net assets is 100,000. So here he told you net assets 100,000. The carrying amount equals the fair value of S net asset except the fair value of the inventory and property, plant, and equipment exceeds their carrying amounts by 4,000 and 10,000. Now, guys, you can note it here. The fair value of inventory, inventory is your assets, and property, plant, and equipment is your also your asset. Actually, it is more than carrying value. So it means you need to adjust now net assets. Okay. Now here, given, of course, there is no non-controlling interest or prior equity interest. Goodwill, how you will calculate, guys? It's quite simple now. First of all, you should adjust the net asset. I'm simply going to tell you, and he told you net asset, how you will get the net asset. You need identifiable assets acquired minus liabilities assumed is equal to net assets. And you need, guys, net asset fair value. But he told you here carrying value, told you how much carrying value? He told you $100,000 carrying value. He told you $100,000. And he told you fair value of asset is more than carrying value. Whenever, guys, please remember here, because I'm going to adjust directly net asset. So these are the notes which you should remember. If, because net asset is the result of assets and liability. Okay. Now, guys, of course, if your assets fair value is more than carrying value, so your net asset answer should increase, right? If your asset fair value is less than carrying value, your net asset answer should decrease. Same way for the liability. If your liabilities fair value is more than carrying value, of course, your net asset answer should go down. Okay. And if your liabilities fair values are less than carrying value, your net asset should go up. This is what is the rule. So here it's this rule is written. If fair value of asset is greater than carrying value of asset, the difference will be added in the net asset. So we will add in the net asset because it should increase. It should increase the net asset because fair value is more. Okay. A fair value of asset is less than carrying value of the asset, difference should be subtracted from net asset. I'm talking about from net asset. Okay. For the liabilities, I already told you if fair value of liability is greater than carrying value of liabilities, so difference will be subtracted from net asset. And if fair value of liabilities is less than carrying value of liabilities, difference will be added to net asset. So by applying this rule, I hope you can understand. Okay, otherwise stop the video and review it again what it's written. So here we go, guys. Now what you will do is simply you have to take the consideration transfer, which it's given here in the question. Just look at here, it's given 120,000 and it represents 100% acquisition. So no non-controlling interest you have here. So then you have to subtract here less acquisition date, fair value of net identifiable assets, and asset carrying value. He told you net asset carrying value, how much? 100,000 in the question he told you here. Here. And he told you adjustment also. He told you fair value of asset. This adjustment is relevant to asset, huh? And he told you fair value is greater than its carrying value. It means if fair value is more, so this should be added in the net asset. So we will add in the net asset. So what is the difference? So difference is here 4,000 plus 10,000, total is 14,000. It means simply I will add 14,000 in the net asset. So my net asset is going to be a fair value of net asset is going to be 114,000. So this is what is fair value of net asset, and my purchase consideration is 120, and my net asset is going to be 114,000. It means I'm going to get $6,000 as goodwill because answer is positive. Okay. Now, guys, let's have a look with the impairment now. Please, you should remember, guys. When we talk about impairment test for the goodwill, you should remember here goodwill is tested for impairment at reporting unit level. So what is reporting unit level? Actually, reporting unit mean to say it is an operating segment. I hope you understand this word operating segment. If you don't know, so you should be aware with this operating segment. So reporting unit is the operating segment, or it could be its component. Okay, because operating segment, guys, it's actually separate topic. So so reporting unit means say it's operating segment or it's a component. So in simple words, you can say a component is a reporting unit if, now I can just simply explain, if it is a business for which discrete financial information is available. So you will say it is a reporting unit if for this business discrete financial information is available. Mean to say you can prepare their own financial statements. Okay, for example, if you have two companies, company A and B, and each is having their own discrete financial information, you can prepare their own set of financial statements. It means it is a reporting unit. And there is another word, and segment management regularly reviews its operating results. Okay, so if you can prepare the financial statement and it is regularly reviewed, okay, segment management is reviewing its operating results, of course it is called your reporting unit. And please remember, goodwill is tested at reporting, goodwill is tested for impairment at reporting unit level. Now here we have few points, like we have here qualitative factors for goodwill, like when we can say there is the indication of goodwill. I'm going to talk about qualitative assessment first. Okay, under US GAAP, the goodwill impairment test has been simplified. How? Because US GAAP allowing the companies to test qualitative factors to determine whether it is necessary to perform the quantitative goodwill impairment test or not. Okay. For example, if you have these following could be the indicators which I'm going to explain now. If you will find these indicators, so maybe there is an impairment. Okay. Number one is what it could be a macroeconomic conditions. Okay, maybe it your overall second point, maybe your overall financial performance is not good, so it could be the indication for impairment of goodwill. Or maybe entity specific event such as bankruptcy, litigation, or change in management strategy or customers. So this could be the indication, maybe you are there might be impairment for goodwill. Okay, or maybe there is a sustained decrease in the share price, like share price has decreased and it is sustained, it's not growing at all. So, or maybe the cost factor that could have negative effects on earning and cash flow. So there could be any event, guys. If it indicates there is impairment, so you should test it for impairment. If there is no qualitative indications are there, so you should not perform any impairment test. So if there are indications, then you need to quantify the amount of impairment loss for goodwill. And how you will do it, guys? For the quantification, please remember here, for the quantification you should follow this. So you have to, because you are doing calculation at reporting unit level, so that is why first of all you need to take carrying value of reporting units net assets including goodwill. I hope you know the net asset means the assets minus liabilities. You need carrying value of net assets. Okay, and in net asset, when you write it here, to calculate net asset, you need to write carrying value of assets, which is showing in balance sheet, including goodwill. You should include the goodwill here. And from there, you will subtract carrying value of liabilities. This is how it will give you carrying value of net assets. Okay. If carrying value of reporting units net assets, including goodwill, is greater than its fair value of reporting unit, including goodwill, of course, it will be provided in the question. If this is the scenario, if carrying value is more than fair value of the reporting unit, it means there is an impairment, and this difference is the impairment. Okay. If no, if carrying value of reporting unit is not less than, I mean say it's not greater than, I mean to say, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's if it is greater than, if carrying value is greater than fair value, it's impairment. If not, so it's not a impairment. Okay. And please remember here, we have our 2 3 notes which are really important. The loss, like when you want to record the impairment loss, you will tab at the impairment loss, credit the goodwill actually. Okay. The loss is limited to the total amount of goodwill. For example, if in your goodwill in your balance sheet, goodwill is, let's assume, 60,000, but impairment loss is 70,000. Guys, please, you can't book the impairment loss for 70. No, you have to book up to the amount of goodwill. Okay, so this is what is the note. So then here they tell you it will be recorded in income statement, of course, and cannot be reversed. You have to remember these points. This impairment loss you cannot reverse. And here we go with the help of examples to understand. Guys, here on January 1, year 1, T company purchased all of its outstanding common stock of P company for $200,000 and recognized a $50,000 of goodwill. So there is the goodwill of 50,000. It's properly classified P as a reporting unit. It means, of course, goodwill is always tested at reporting unit level. At the end of year two, the following information is available for P. This is the information we have. So we have here carrying amount of assets, including a goodwill of 50,000. So this is the carrying value of assets. You have a carrying amount of liabilities. It means if you want to calculate net assets, simply you will take 290,000 minus 100,000, which is liability. So this is how you will get the carrying value of assets. Okay. And this is our fair value. So if you will calculate the carrying value is 190,000 and fair value is 150,000. So you can see carrying value, which is 190,000, is greater than 150,000, and 150,000 is the fair value. It means there is impairment. So how much impairment is there? 40,000. So you will just take the difference of carrying value and fair value. So difference is going to be $40,000. And this $40,000 you will record debit, impairment loss, credit, goodwill. And in your balance sheet now, goodwill, the remaining amount of the goodwill is 10,000. How? Because goodwill amount was 50, and with 40,000 you have recorded the impairment, and remaining amount is 10,000. Okay, and 10,000. And this impairment loss, the 40,000 which we have impairment loss, is reported in year two consolidated income statement. Okay. So now guys, here we have another example because you will see the minor difference there. On January 1, we have a same data. For example, on January 1, year 1, T acquired P for 200,000. There is a goodwill of 50,000 and P is a reporting unit. Carrying amount of assets, including goodwill, is 290. Carrying amount of liability is 100. It means net asset. If you will take asset minus liability, it is net asset. It's $190,000. Fair value is now fair value told you here. Let's assume now fair value of the reporting unit is 120,000. So this is the fair value. Of course, carrying value is greater than fair value. It means there is impairment loss of 70,000. But please note, you have a goodwill only of 50,000. If your impairment loss exceeds the amount of goodwill, so of course you can book the loss up to the amount of goodwill only. Okay. So what entry you will pass? It means you can book the loss of 50,000 only. So you will debit the impairment loss and credit the goodwill by 50,000, and in your balance sheet goodwill will be zero now. Okay, I hope guys it is clear. Because proper, this was actually in this video I was trying to cover only impairment, but I just gave you basic idea of goodwill calculation also, but the proper and full-fledged at high level we will discuss once we will discuss the consolidation. Okay guys, thank you so much. Bye bye.